Welcome to Sweethearts or Rivals. I'm Charla.
I'm Justin.
What's on our table today?
Santorini.
Santorini is the game you can play with 2 to 4 players. They recommend those players be aged 8 and up, and it can take you about 20 minutes.
Right on.
This copy we have is published by Roxley Games.
Right, so what do you think about the components of Santorini?
The components of Santorini are outstanding.
Yes, they are.
They're just absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah.
Between the art and the colors they chose for this 3-dimensional board, which is totally cool, because if you need to twirl your board around,
it
just works so perfectly.
Yeah.
And the colors that they chose for the ocean and the green grass complement each other just right. And then the caricatures for the characters are really, really cute.
Yes, they are. Very cool.
This is more my style of cartoon art.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really like it.
Yeah.
And then, of course, the big plastic chunky pieces are awesome with the bright blue roofs that look like the town of Santorini are perfect.
And I thought at first the 3D board, like the raised board, I didn't really understand. I mean, it looks nice, but does it have a purpose? And it really does, because in order for you to see all the possible moves you might be able to do, it is really important to be able to very easily and safely turn the board around. And it does that. It's very functional, which is awesome.
It is.
Yeah. Really nice that they kind of saw that and said there's going to be a need for that.
Yeah.
And make it look awesome.
It is awesome.
Yeah.
The only thing I must say about the plastic is they're white, and it goes with the theme of like Santorini's. The buildings are white with blue tops.
Yep.
I just worry that in 20 years, like I'm still going to have my pieces, but they might be yellow or brittle because they used plastic.
Yep.
But hopefully if I keep them in the box, they're going to stay nice and white and hopefully not brittle.
There you go.
And what about the strategery, which is a word that we use for strategy, tactics, and luck?
Okay. So, is there luck in the game? None at all. There's no random setup. There's no deck of cards that you just see what comes out to affect the board. Nothing at all. Everything that you do when you're setting up and then playing is strategically or tactically decided by all the players, which is amazing. And the rules are very simple, but they're also very open. Like, you're not limited to just, you can't move diagonally or anything like that. You can move any direction, and because you have 2 different characters, honestly, it almost reminds me of some kind of like sports game where you have like 2 people and they have to cover certain quadrants.
An offense and a defense.
Yeah, it's very bizarre, but very cool. So, very tactical play because, of course, you're reacting to what your opponent is doing to make sure that defensively they're not going to win. But also very long-term strategy. Setting up little things here and there to try to create traps to make sure that your opponents can't move. Or that they're over there thinking that they're winning when you're really setting up a set that you can win without them getting a chance to get close enough to like block you. So a very awesome blend of strategy and tactics. And then as soon as you add the god powers, it's the exact same blend on a whole other level.
Right.
And that it doesn't change the game like fundamentally. It just takes that perfect blend and brings it to a whole other level, which makes for almost endless replayability. So what about the complexity of Santorini?
This game isn't complex because you're going to move and build, and you can move and build in the whole block around you.
Yep.
And then you can only move up 1 level, but you can jump down all the way to the bottom if you want to.
And that's all the rules.
And the first player on the top of the 3rd level wins.
Yep.
So it's not complex. I think the only problem I see with the game is players on different levels playing each other.
Yeah.
Because if you've got someone who's played this game a lot, or is a really strategic or tactical thinker, and someone who's never played the game before, and strategy and tactics aren't a strength of theirs, there could be an issue there.
Yep.
But as long as you're playing with people on the same level of those kind of things, I think the players won't find the game too complex.
Yeah. I would definitely recommend, if you're new to the game, playing the game without the god powers a couple of times first. Not because it's complex, but because there are a surprising number of strategies that you can use in what seems like a very simple game.
It's true.
Yeah. Like, if you can manage to block your opponent's workers in so they can't move, well, then you just win. Or you at least block one of them, and then suddenly they can't be on defense anymore.
Yeah, you're playing with one worker type behind your back.
Yeah, which is awesome. So there are some surprising strategies that you discover as you play. Then, as soon as you add the powers, each matchup between the gods is going to drastically change the different things that you have to be kind of looking out for and defending against.
Yeah.
When we played Athena versus Atlas, I was Atlas, and honestly, I thought because Athena could stop me from moving up, that I was going to have a really difficult time with that.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, and there were several times when, I did, but not as often as I thought, which was kind of neat. It actually immediately made me think, as soon as I have the opportunity to move up a level, I need to take it and get off the ground. And a lot of the time, I was above ground and you weren't.
Yeah.
Which was kind of funny.
And unfortunate.
Yes. So, suddenly, extra things you have to think about.
And what's really cool about the game, too, there's hardly any setup.
Yeah.
So it's really awesome to, like, just open the box, pretty much play the game right out of the baggies. And you're off and running.
It's a great game if you want to have several of the games in a row. Just bang, bang, bang.
And oftentimes you do, because sometimes the games are really short. And you're like, oh, I didn't see that. And you get so frustrated with yourself. It's like, I'm going to play that again and learn from my mistake and play better.
Yeah.
It's one of those kind of games.
Yeah.
And what do you think about the playability?
Playability. Mechanics versus theme is interesting because normally if you were building a city, you wouldn't be building by hopping around and jumping up and down levels.
You kind of are.
But it makes sense if you're gods, which is awesome. And the god powers somewhat thematically follow with the gods they're paired up with. Not like incredibly well, but still, it's neat and it makes sense, which is kind of cool. For scalability with number of players, there is a 3-player version that you can play with, which we haven't played, but seems very interesting because now you have 6 workers running around trying to block and attack each other. There is a 4-player variant that we haven't played, but with that, there are 2 teams of 2. So there's still only 4 workers, but each team has a different god. So there's 2 gods against 2 gods. So that would be interesting because suddenly, I can't use Atlas's power every turn. I've got to wait until it's my turn. That would be very interesting.
It's interesting. It would be interesting to see the partners, which gods paired up really well with each other.
Yeah.
That would be cool.
That would be very interesting. So it doesn't scale for the number of players so much as just become kind of a different game for the different player counts. But it does also say in the rulebook that Santorini is, at its core, a direct 2-player confrontation, which is cool. And it works really well. As for game length, it is super short, super quick. There's very little downtime because you need to be constantly focused on what everyone's doing so you don't miss stuff. That being said, because you're constantly thinking and trying to strategize several moves ahead in all the possible things that could happen, I could see it being a little AP prone.
Yeah, I could see people getting a little bit of analysis paralysis for sure.
Yeah.
Just because of, if I do this, what are they going to do, and then what am I going to do?
Yeah.
And then, you can move in 9 different directions most of the time. So
Yep.
if you're going to analyze each one of your directions you can move and where you can build, it could get a little overwhelming.
Yeah.
But most of the time, I don't think you would even have to do that.
Yeah. That being said, again, the way the game is kind of structured, you start with the base game with no god powers, where it's just the basic rules. Get used to that. There's 10 simple gods, which by themselves are a ton of replayability. And then there's 20 complex gods. So you don't rush into the complex gods right away and then get overwhelmed. You work your way up to it. And at the same time, if the basic gods or the simple gods are getting a little samey, 20 more complex gods that take it to a whole other level.
It's awesome. And then there's the Golden Fleece expansion too.
Yeah.
Which
A whole
I
bunch
think
more
I have
gods.
to get that. Yeah.
Heroes with one-shot superpowers. Whole bunch of crazy stuff.
Sounds like fun.
Yeah. It gets complicated enough with the Golden Fleece expansion that there is actually a set of, if somebody's playing this god, nobody can play these gods because it's imbalanced. Which is starting to get really complicated.
But you know what? It's awesome that they playtested enough to know that.
Yeah.
And then we have that resource right in the rules.
Absolutely.
And like we don't have to stumble upon it ourselves.
Yeah.
And then feel kind of like, oh, these are unbalanced.
There we go. And because of all of this, the gods, the different levels of gods, the small expansion that has even more gods, all of this makes the game endlessly replayable.
I agree.
Yeah. Cool. So, does it have the awesomeness or the cuteness?
Oh my goodness. Why would you make me choose that on this game?
Both?
It has both.
Yes.
Both on very high levels because the gameplay, the abstract of it makes it really awesome. But the theme of it that they put on this abstract game is the cutest theme. And the art is the cutest. And the pieces are the cutest. So, it's very awesomely cute.
Awesomely cute. Nice. Santorini, are we trading it or keeping it?
We better keep it.
Yes.
I really want to keep it.
Yeah.
I can't see me ever trading this game.
No. It seemed like a silly question to ask. But I asked it.
Yeah.
Now you know.
It's on the list.
There we go.
Yeah.
And when we play the game, do we finish it as sweethearts or rivals? We finish as
Rivals. Unless I'm
Wow.
Aphrodite.
Rivals.
Or
It is
Cupid.
Cupid?
If I'm Cupid.
Then we're rivals.
No, because you'd be so infatuated with me that you wouldn't be rivals with me.
Rivals. It is so much fun to like set up these little traps or do feints or try to lead you this way while I'm setting up the win over here. That one game where I trapped one of your workers and there was nothing they could do, that was just amazing.
It was alright.
Yeah. It felt like I accomplished something awesome. Yeah. For such a simple game. Yeah. Totally gives me rivalry right away. Nice. That is Santorini.
It is. Thanks for watching.
Thanks a lot.
We'll see you in the next video.
Laters.
Or is a very strategic. Or is a very. Sorry, I can't see it now. Yeah.
That was good. Tragically strategic.
Right.